Not happening. Morning, everyone.
Good morning, Rabbi.
We are learning Mishnah Sukkah, Parak Aleph, Chapter 1, Mishnah Mishnah 5. Okay. Okay. Here we go. I hope if you're watching this, you haven't been delayed too much. But there is some kind of delay here. Okay. Mishnah Hay. Chavile kash, bundles of straw. Chavile eitzim, bundles of wood. Chavile zerodin, they translate it as bundles of cane. No, it's a type of cane. The notes they have here, it's a type of cane that is fed to animals when moist and is used as firewood when dry. Now, you cannot use them for schach. So, for instance, you got this bundle of straw, and you want to throw it on top of your sukkah to use it for schach. Now, it grows from the ground, right?
No.
It's not susceptible to tuma, right?
No.
It's not food. It's not food. It's not a kli. It's not a utensil. It's not a person. So seemingly it is not susceptible to tuma. So what's wrong with it? What's wrong with using these bundles? So the explanation is as following. There's a rabbinic decree here involved. Now, the fact they're in bundles is not a problem in Deraisa. There's nothing wrong with that. So they're in bundles, big deal. That's not an issue with Deraisa. But the issue with Rabbanan is the following. And the way that it's laid out here in the notes is, let me read it to you. Even proper schach materials cannot be used as schach unless one put them on the sukkah with intent that they will provide shade from the sun or some other form of protection. If one put them there for a different purpose, they are invalid. Okay. Now, even though we right before there was machlekes Beisham and Beis Hillel, do I have to make my sukkah for the purposes of the mitzvah of sukkah? Do I have to put it up for sukkahs or not? We paskin, you don't have to. But in the very least, when you put up your schach, it's got to be there for protection. Even if your intent isn't for the mitzvah. Your intent is because you want to sit outside. But in order to be able to use this, even according to Beis Hillel, for a sukkah, for this schach to be kosher, it has to be that this schach was put there as schach. Schach means it's a protection. It gives you shade. It gives you other kind of protection. That is the bare minimum of intent that you need for what we call schach.
But you need intent.
Excuse me?
The intent. But
you need the intent when you're putting it on, that you're putting it there as a roof, as a ceiling, as a cover to protect you from on top. If you don't do that, then it's not valid. That's number one. Number two, as we have said before, so let's say you went ahead and you took this schach, you took these bundles and you put it up on the sukkah for them to dry out. You don't put them up there because I wanna use it for schach. You know, these are when they're moist, you want it to dry out because you want to use it for firewood. If you want to use it for firewood, it's only if it dries out. So I go ahead and I put it up there to dry out. Okay. And then I decide, you know what? I'll use it for schach once it's up there. It's not going to be good because when I put it up there, they didn't put it up there as a roof. They didn't put it up there for protection. It was up there for some other reason, to dry out.
But you decided after.
That's after, 1 second. But when you went out and you put it up, right? When you first put it up, you can't use it for schach then because of the fact that, you know, the fact that you put it up there, not for the purposes of being a protection.
The intent.
Okay. And to go ahead and just say, all right, now I'm going to go into the sukkah and use it for sukkahs. It's not good. Right. So what are you going to do? You're going to say, you know, all right, maybe I'll just go ahead and I'll change my mind, as you said, and change my mind and say, okay, I want it there for schach. That's what I want it for. It's not up there for drying. Like if you put it up there for drying, you go into the sukkah and it's still up there for drying, and you say, well, I'm going to do my mitzvah this way, but it's up there for drying, doesn't work. But if you change your mind and you say that I want it there for the purposes of schach, I want it there to be my ceiling to protect me. Okay, so you took away the invalidation. However, as we learned yesterday, you can't just take away the invalidation. You've got to lay the schach down. When you put the schach down, it has to be done in a way that it's considered kosher schach. If you put it down when it wasn't kosher and then you just took away the disqualification, that's no good. You have to lay it. You have to lay the schach. You got to put the schach up there. Got to create your protection as a protection. If you didn't put it up there as a protection, then just to now say, okay, I'm using it for protection isn't going to be enough. What would you have to do if you want to go ahead and say that it should be good? You'd have to pick it up and put it back down, as we had yesterday, right? However, the Rabbanan said, in this case with these bundles, if you leave them as bundles, even if you put it down on the sukkah to begin with for the purposes of protection, you put it there not to dry out. You put it there for your schach. It's not going to be good. Why? Because we're afraid that if we allow you to use those bundles, even when your intent is to put it down there as schach, we're afraid that in a different situation, as someone else may take those bundles, put them up there for drying, and then say, you know what, I'll use it for schach, which, as we just said, you can't do that. You can't just decide to leave it there for schach. You'd have to pick it up and put it back down. But we're afraid that if it's possible to put it up there as is, which according to Torah law, it should be if you put it up there for schach, we're afraid, though, if there is that possibility, somebody may do that in the wrong way by just putting it up there to dry and just leaving it that way. So therefore, the Chachamim said, you cannot use these bundles for schach, even initially as schach. It's a gezerah, protective measure to make sure somebody doesn't do it and doesn't do the same act in the wrong way. Okay, but then, v'chulan shehitiran ksheris. However, if you untie them, then they're kosher. Now that sounds like if I put it on top, it was a bundle, and then I untie it, it's going to be kosher. So as they point out in the notes, that's going to depend. If the whole invalidation was only midrabanan, was only rabbinic, that means you put it up there, the bundles you put up there to begin with, for schach. So according to Torah law, it's kosher. It just that the Rabbanan said, we don't want you to do that, and they invalidated it. So since the invalidation is only midrabanan, there they said, if you just untie it, and it's not a bundle anymore, so it's not similar to the issue that we're concerned about, that's enough. That's all you need to do. You don't have to pick it up again and put it down. Because midaraisa really was chach. Just a midrabanan, it's invalid. So the Rabbanan said, if you take away the validation, that's enough for us to allow you to do it. However, if, let's say, when you put it up there to begin with, to dry, which means at that point it was pasul midaraisa, according to Torah law, couldn't be schach, then you're going to have to untie it to take away the rabbinic problem, and then of the fact that it's a bundle, and then you're going to have to pick it up again and put it back down. Because since when you put it down, it wasn't kosher schach, even according to Torah law, you got to redo it. So when it started off as not kosher midaraisa, it's not going to be enough just to untie it. You got to untie it, because if you don't untie it, you're always going to be left with the rabbinic prohibition of using, with the rabbinic invalidation of using this for schach, because if it's a bundle, then it resembles something that we're afraid you're going to do it in the wrong way. You're going to put it up there to dry. So you have to for sure untie it. But if it was initially pasul midaraisa, if initially it wasn't kosher schach according to Torah law, because you put it up there to dry, you're going to have to untie it and then pick it up and put it back down or move it around. You've got to relay it as schach. Because then everything's covered. It's been relayed as schach. It's no more a bundle. There's no Torah problem. There's no rabbinic problem, and it's kosher schach. And when we say that you have to redo the schach, again, you can pick it up and put it back down, or just move it around. Let's say you didn't move it. Let's say you didn't pick it up, but you moved it to another spot. You moved it around. You moved it to somewhere else. That also works. That's all called relaying the schachadu. And that's what you would do if the invalidation to start off was a Torah invalidation. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Got the picture.
One time